what do you consider the greatest challenge on your path to personal transmutation, and what stage are you at currently?
Challenge. Well, I guess sort of like what I was saying before is your challenge is yourself, really. You just wrangle with yourself, so it's always...
Your mind, you mean, thoughts and things?
Yeah, that to some degree. I mean, your ego, in a way. I mean, that's a classic thing to say about the spiritual path. It's almost a cliche, but I think particularly in the modern world where you've got a spiritual marketplace, people talk on and on about, you know, getting beyond the ego, or getting, you know, I think it's more like you've got to work through it. You know, your ego is what gives you boundaries and structure, and that's what you've actually got to work with. And any attempt, I think, to get beyond it or negate it is actually just a kind of spiritual materialism. You know, it's again this idea that you're trying to get somewhere else and get beyond where you are, when it's all happening here. If you can start to go on that journey and unfold that process. So I mean, I'm much more. I like much more the idea of cycles and imminence of spirit than the idea of, you know, a goal as such. But definitely, as I mentioned to you before the interview, you know, after the conference, I've been sort of going through a kind of fermentation sort of phase, which is, you know, it sort of started with like this kind of putrefaction, like after the joy and the synchronicity of the conference, you know, it inevitably sort of, things fall into that. You know, you often come away from a great event thinking, oh, that was fantastic, and that's the place I want to get to, and that's the place I want to be. And of course it doesn't last. And then inevitably you sort of get thrown back into the material world, and you kind of start to realize that you're not really in control of a lot of things, and you've almost got to wait for that fermenting spirit to enter you and just do nothing, sort of.
Take your hands off.
Yeah, take your hands off, exactly, yeah. So yeah, I'm kind of fermenting a little bit, recovering, and I think I've got some distilling within myself to do, which I can either do through some physical distillation, because of course, you know, as we do the experiment, we work on ourselves, is the secret. But yeah, just some distilling down of it, because I learnt a lot through the weekend too, and made so many great connections, you know, through people, and you know, got a whole bunch of swag from different people as well. So there's a whole lot of stuff I have to distill down and kind of work out, where does this go, and almost how am I going to work with people too, because there's lots of different ways I could be working with people now, and I'm sort of distilling that down into a new vision.